Welcome to this session, and I can see quite a lot of participants. सुबह सवेरे अभी नाश्ता वाश्ता करके आ रहे हैं, तो जैसे जैसे आते हैं हम शुरू करते हैं अल्लाह का नाम लेके। ठीक है, मैं डॉक्टर इमरान अहमद हूँ, मेरे साथ डॉक्टर आरिफ हैं और डॉक्टर इरफान करामत की जगह कौन होंगे? राशिद नवाज को चेयर के तौर पे। तो यू हैव 5 मिनट्स ईच। इस चीज़ की स्कोरिंग होगी, सो अपने आप को ज़रा लिमिट करें 5 मिनट के अंदर अंदर, बहुत छोटा भी ना करें, थोड़े के भी मार्क्स कटते हैं और ओवर होने के भी मार्क्स कटते हैं। सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। फर्स्ट स्पीकर जी आगा साद, आप हैं, आ जाएं फिर। बिस्मिल्लाह।
Saad will be explaining on the correlation of the interpupillary distance with the range of overconvergence.
The topic of my discussion is correlation of interpupillary distance with range of convergence. Following are the contents of my discussion: introduction, objective, hypothesis, material and methodology, results, and finally the conclusion. Interpupillary distance is the horizontal separation from the center of pupil of one eye to the center of pupil to the other eye, with the head straight looking to the infinity. It ranges from 56 to 71 with the standard deviation of 3.9 millimeters. When both eyes move nasally simultaneously in order to maintain binocular single vision, looking at a close object is known as convergence. And the point when the target on the RAF ruler moves toward the subject, it becomes double, is known as near point of convergence. Normal range is 6 to 10 centimeter. More than 10 centimeter is termed as convergence insufficiency, and less than 6 centimeter is known as convergence excess. RF ruler is a scientifically designed ophthalmic instrument used to find near point of convergence and to rule out convergence insufficiency. The objective of this study is to find the relationship between interpupillary distance and the range of convergence. We hypothesize that people with larger interpupillary distance have remote near point of convergence. Total 100 individuals were included in this study. Both male and female from 18 to 13 years were included. Refractive status was E-metrop, ocular status was healthy, collection of data was perform method. Total 42 males and 58 females were included in this study. This graph represents the number of individuals according to their study. Visual acuity was recorded through Snellen chart. Refractive status was confirmed through autorefractometer. Interpupillary distance was measured through pupillometer, and near point of convergence assessed through RAF ruler. The strength of correlation is classified as weak, moderate, and strong from 0 to 0.3 weak, and from 0.3 to 0.7 was termed as moderate, and 0.7 to 1 was termed as strong correlation. When Pearson correlation was applied, the results show a strong positive correlation between IPD and NPC with the correlation coefficient of 0.9. With the increase of IPD, the NPC was also increases. Correlation coefficient correlation was significant at the level of 0.01. However, age has very poor correlation with IPD and NPC. Table of correlation show that correlation coefficient of near point of convergence and IPD is 0.9, and the correlation coefficient of between age and interpupillary distance is 0.05, and the correlation coefficient between age and NPC was 0.09. This graph represents as the interpupillary distance of the individual increases, the near point of convergence was also increases. Interpupillary distance of the individual included in this study ranges from 54 to 75 millimeter. Mean male IPD was 63.5 and mean female IPD was 61.3, and the mean difference between female and male is 2.15. Independent sample t-test show that this difference is not significant with the p-value of 0.01. The NPC values of individual included in the study ranges from 5 to 14 centimeter. Mean male NPC was 9.5 and mean female NPC was 8.08. The mean difference between male and female NPC was 1.48. The independent sample data show that this difference is significant with a p-value of 0.003. This graph represents the mean male and female IPD's value and mean male and female NPC values. So we summarize the result as there is a strong positive correlation between IPD and NPC. And also males have remote near point of convergence as compared to females. So this study concluded that NPC's values of people with large IPD and male gender should be measured carefully to find out the convergence insufficiency, and proper advice should be given for near activities. Any questions? Thank you.
I'm also a consultant optometrist at National Eye Center, and I'm currently doing MPhil from King Edward Medical University and a demonstrator optometrist in Noor International University. I'm going to present a case presentation on the topic successful visual and orthoptic outcome following refractive surgery in a patient with isometropic amblyopia and fully refractive accommodative esotropia, which is actually a 6-year follow-up. Amblyopia, we all know, is a condition in which the BCVA is reduced with the absence of any ocular pathology, and isometropic amblyopia is a condition in which both the eyes are amblyopic, and we know that we do not prescribe patching in isometropic amblyopia because it is going to make it even more worse. And alternate accommodative fully refractive accommodative esotropia is a condition in which there is reduced accommodation and due to which the eyes turn inward. And the strategic management is that we prescribe spectacles of which means the accommodation, and so the squint is actually treated. So the patient, an 18-year-old female girl, presented into the clinic with the desire to be free of spectacles. She has history of spectacles of 10 years, and she was currently using plus 4.25 diopter sphere. She has history of patching at the age of 6 for only about 6 months, and it was poor compliance. Her birth history was normal. It was a full-term birth with a spontaneous vaginal delivery, normal developmental milestones, no history of trauma or fever with fits or any systemic illness. Her mother was only hyperopic, no family history of strabismus or no history of contact lens wear. Her chief complaint was that she was having poor vision, and she had cosmetic dissatisfaction with glasses. At during the presentation, she had a 1.0 logMAR and 1.2 logMAR in the right and left eye respectively with plus 4.25 diopter sphere of spectacles. Her NVA was 3.2 meter. After cycloplegic refraction, her vision became 0.6 and 0.5 in right and left eye respectively, and her BC NVA became 1.6 m with the prescription. On the prism cover test with spectacles, it was 5 prism diopter of alternate esotropia at distance and 15 prism diopter of alternate esotropia at near, and without spectacles, it became 35 prism diopter of esotropia at distance and 40 prism diopter of alternate esotropia at near. After cycloplegic refraction and after giving her proper correction, the patient became orthophoric for distance and near, which states that the patient had fully refractive accommodative esotropia. Her stereopsis before cycloplegic refraction was 600 seconds of arc at frisbee at 40 centimeter, and after cycloplegic refraction, proper refraction, it became 300 seconds of arc. On Wirth for dot test, patient before and after showed alternate suppression for distance as well as near. Her extraocular movement showed before proper correction, it showed overaction at adduction and underaction at abduction. After cycloplegic refraction, the patient became orthophoric. Her anterior and posterior segment showed normal, and the patient was diagnosed with isometropic amblyopia and fully refractive accommodative esotropia. She wanted to go for refractive surgery, and before refractive surgery, she was given trial of spectacles for about 3 months and also prescribed patching therapy, and she again showed poor compliance. After 1 month of refractive surgery, all the parameters remained the same, except that her squint, she became orthophoric for distance, and only 5% diopter of esotropia was present for near. However, after 6 years, when the patient presented into the clinic with only a complaint of burning sensation due to dry eyes, her vision was surprisingly improved up to 0.2 and 0.24 logmar in right and left eye. Her near vision was improved up to 0.63 m, and stereo acuity improved up to 170 seconds of arc. On Würzburg dot test, she showed normal retinal correspondence at distance as well as near. She became orthophoric, and so the discussion showed that after 6 years of correct vision, the refractive surgery proved and treatment for the asymmetropic amblyopia. Her stereo acuity was improved, and also her vision was also improved. So the conclusion is, ultimately, this case demonstrates that in motivated young adults, refractive surgery can complement amblyopia management by ensuring stable visual input and alignment, allowing long-term improvement in both visual acuity and binocular function. Any questions?
Muhammad Ali.
Topic of my presentation is comparative effect of patching using iPad versus polarizing film, which is form of dioptic method for the treatment of amblyopia. As ma'am tell, amblyopia is decrease of vision. Difference. There is a difference of two lines after best correction, best corrected visual acuity, in which even with refractive correction and no biological disease present, amblyopia is a condition in which visual acuity is nevertheless low. Most important is prevalence is 1 to 2%. Its prevalence depending upon geographical location, socioeconomic factors, compared to other eye diseases such as ROP, childhood nystagmus. Amblyopia is 10 times more. Amblyopia was formerly thought to be a monocular condition, an increasing amount of data point involvement of both eyes, anatomical and functional problem. Traditional patching was utilized, which was atropinization, fogging, patching, optical fogging, dioptic training method, refractive correction with full refractive error correction. Eyeglasses was primarily thought first primary line of treatment for the treatment of amblyopia. Background में retrospective study was done in 877 cases. There is mild and severe amblyopia was treated two different ways: 6 hourly patching and 2 hourly patching. Same result was gained. In USA, there was a study conducted. Patients of 4 to 7 years were enrolled, in which 1 hour patching and glasses were implies. 1 hour patching wearing full-time glasses were allowed. Findings supported that the value of therapeutic clinical practice and effective treatment. Literature gap. My study was compare the effectiveness of dioptic film method and patching. The aim of my study was compare the efficacy of dioptic method using polarizing film and occlusion therapy using eye patch for the treatment of amblyopia. Research methodology or randomized control trials was done in clinical setting of Jinnah Hospital, Lahore. Sample size was calculated by Winpair, 11.15. Or my sample size was 34 candidates. Sample technique was non-publicly convenient. Sampling technique was applied. Research study time was 6 months. By data collection group was 3 to 19 years, and both gender, male and female, were included. Visual acuity between 2040 to 2200 Snellens and logmar was enrolled. Exclusion criteria was squint, any neurological abnormality, and patient with a history of ocular trauma, cataract were excluded. Data collection tools was used, Snellen chart, retinoscope, ophthalmoscope, and stereopsis, trial box figure, etc. These are results. These are demographic results in which both patching group and dichoptic method group simultaneously 17 in each group were enrolled. It was examined how well polarizing film a dichoptic therapy worked for amblyopia patient. There was a noticeable improvement in visual acuity when compared to eye patch used for occlusion therapy for amblyopia. The benefit of dichoptic treatment amblyopia have been demonstrated in numerous research such as opposed to occlusion therapy, which is expected to produce superior results. Conclusion: it was found both techniques were effective, but dichoptic film method was most effective for the treatment of amblyopia. Thank you.
अच्छा मोहम्मद अली, ज़रा आप पीछे जाएंगे. आपका स्टडी डिज़ाइन था रैंडमाइज्ड कंट्रोल ट्रायल.
जी सर.
इट वाज रैंडमाइजेशन आपने कैसे इंश्योर की थी? हॉस्पिटल बेस्ड था ना?
सर ये हॉस्पिटल बेस्ड था. इसमें कुछ बच्चों को हमने पैचिंग अप्लाई करवाई है, कुछ लोगों को हमने रैंडमली डाइकोप्टिक मतलब फिल्टर अप्लाई करवाए थे.
नहीं, रैंडमाइजेशन आप हॉस्पिटल बेस्ड स्टडीज़ में कभी भी
नहीं करते.
इंश्योर नहीं कर सकते. सो इट वुड नॉट बी एन RCT. ये कॉज़ा एक्सपेरिमेंटल हो सकती है,
जी सर.
लेकिन रैंडमाइजेशन नहीं, रैंडम नहीं, RCT नहीं होगी.
सर
ठीक है, ये याद रखना.
ठीक है सर. थैंक यू.
डॉक्टर राशिद नवाज हमारे साथ हैं एज ए को चेयर. डॉक्टर साहब, आपको भी कुछ क्वेश्चन हो तो आप प्लीज़.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, क्या हाल है सबका? खैरियत से? अच्छा, पहली बात तो ये कि आई एम वेरी हैप्पी टू बी अमंग द ऑप्टोमेट्रिस्ट ग्रुप. और मैं हमेशा ये चाहता हूँ कि आप लोग अपने आप को अपलिफ्ट करें. तो मैं चाहता तो ये हूँ कि आफ्टर हियरिंग ऑल ऑफ़ यू आई विल पास सम कमेंट्स. लेकिन ये है कि वाइल प्रेजेंटिंग आपको अपनी स्लाइड्स को as least busy as possible रखना होता है. Otherwise nobody will be interested in listening to you. एक तो सर ने वो आपको वो जो रिसर्च रिलेटेड एक चीज़ मेंशन की वो बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट थी. लेकिन ये है कि इन ऑर्डर टू अट्रैक्ट द अटेंशन ऑफ द लिसनर्स आपकी स्लाइड्स को इंटरेस्टिंग होना चाहिए. इसमें कोई पिक्चर नहीं थी. मुझे अभी तक पता नहीं चला कि डाइकोप्टिक मेथड क्या है. इसके अंदर कोई ना कोई पिक्चर होनी चाहिए थी. आपने पिक्चर क्यों नहीं लगाई किसी की जिसके ऊपर डाइकोप्टिक फ़िल्टर लगाया हुआ था? सो दिस इज़ जस्ट अ कमेंट कि इन ऑर्डर टू मेक इट मोर अपीलिंग यू हैव टू प्रेजेंट इट इन अ वे दैट इट कैचेस द अटेंशन ऑफ द लिसनर्स, राइट? ठीक है.
एक्चुअली ये जो प्रेजेंटेशन है ना, ये भी एक आर्ट है.
सर बिल्कुल.
और अनफॉर्चुनेटली मैं COVS से बिलोंग करता हूँ, लेकिन वहाँ पे अभी तक कोई, मेरा ख्याल है, प्रेजेंटेशन पे कोई आपकी ट्रेनिंग नहीं है. आरिफ साहब से मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा इसको इंक्लूड करें, हाउ टू प्रेजेंट ऑन पावर पॉइंट. ये बहुत ज़्यादा लाइनें जो है ना, ये किस सारों के लिए पढ़नी ज़रा मुश्किल होती हैं. 3-4 लाइनें होनी चाहिए, मोटे मोटे पॉइंट्स होने चाहिए. ठीक है, ये सारों के लिए है, आपके लिए स्पेसिफिक नहीं है.
थैंक यू.
थैंक यू वेरी मच.
थैंक यू सर. अस्सलाम.
माहीन फैज़ान.
Good morning, respected judges and audience. My name is Mahin Faizan and I'm an optometrist graduated from King Edward Medical University. Today my research topic is corneal topographic parameters in refractive versus non-refractive soft contact lens users, a post-cessation evaluation. So as we know, cornea holds 2/3 refractive power of the eye. soft contact lenses are widely used for refractive purpose as well as for cosmetic purpose. But prolonged use of soft contact lenses can alter corneal parameters such as thickness, curvature, or regularity. So basically, many studies have been on soft contact lens effect on cornea, but there is no direct comparison between refractive and cosmetic groups. So this study holds clinical importance. The research question of my study is: does refractive and cosmetic lens shows different recovery patterns? The purpose of this study is to compare corneal topographic parameters between refractive and non-refractive soft contact lens users and to evaluate corneal refractive recovery after 2 weeks cessation of lens wear. The study design is prospective observational cohort study. This study includes 2 groups of soft contact lens users, 28 refractive and 28 non-refractive cosmetic soft contact lens users. Corneal topography was assessed at 2 different time points. One immediately after the lens removal, and second was 2 weeks 2 weeks after stop wearing lenses. Series topographer was used to assess corneal topography parameters, and for analysis, paired sample t-test was used for within the group analysis, and independent t-test was used for analysis between the groups. So as we come on the results, both of the groups shows same corneal changes. We found significant reduction in thickness in both the groups. In the thinnest location in central corneal thickness, and this indicated the resolution of lens-induced swelling. Moreover, we found significant improvement in interior surface irregularity, but there was no significant improvement in interior surface irregularity of non-refractive soft contact lens users. Moreover, there was no significant change in curvature of cornea after 2 weeks of stop wearing lenses, which shows the corneal shape stability after stop wearing lenses. My study aligns with the international literature, which also shows effect of soft contact lenses, but these changes are reversible. So this shows the importance of reliable topographic findings need at least 2 weeks of cessation of lens period. To conclude, both the refractive and non-refractive soft contact lens users undergo similar reversible corneal changes, and a minimum 2-week lens-free holiday is required before performing corneal topography for reliable results. Thank you. Any question, please?
रिजल्ट्स पे ज़रा वापस जाएंगे. रिजल्ट्स जहाँ पे है ना, जिस स्लाइड पे.
Results?
हाँ जी, ज़रा वो मुझे ये वाले जो सबसे पहला है आपका 13 to 15 micrometer और 13 to 14 micrometers appear to be very similar,
Yeah.
and yet the p-value is less than 0.001, which is highly significant.
No. Basically, this change, this p-value is between the group. Like between the group, the results were almost same. The thickness, it's written like a refractive lens user, first topography was after lens removal, and then second was after 2 weeks of stop wearing lenses. Then there was a change of thickness about 13 to 15.
Okay.
But that p-value is between the group. Like there was significant reduction in thickness, but if we talk about both...
In which group?
In both groups, after 2 weeks, there was significant reduction of thickness. That's why p-value is 0.01. It's p-value for the thickness. But if we talk about between the group comparison, both of the groups show similar reduction.
If that was the case, then the p-value should be between the two groups. You are comparing two groups, basically.
Okay,
not
okay.
a single group.
Basically, we are doing like two, there are two different purposes within the group as well and
یہ
between the group as well.
tabulation ٹھیک نہیں ہے آپ کی.
Okay, okay.
تھینک یو.
Okay.
کوئی اور
Thank you.
کوشچن؟
نہیں میں میرا خیال ہے کہ ماہین آپ کو پتہ ہی ہے، آپ کے ٹیچر بھی ہیں، آپ کو نا یہ دس از ویری گڈ اسٹڈی، ویری نائسلی ورکڈ،
Thank you, sir.
اینڈ دیر آر مینی تھنگ وچ گوز ان ویری گڈ کمپٹیشن. لیکن آپ یہ والا پورشن ڈاکٹر عمران سے ڈسکس کر لینا
جی،
تاکہ
جی،
وین یو گو ان ٹو پبلیکیشن تو آپ کو
Yeah.
زیادہ اچھا آرام سے اس کو ایکسیپٹ ہو جائے.
Basically, I have like many tables in article and thesis, but for the presentation, I selected only one. So that's why I know a few things are missing.
آپ ماڈیفائی کر سکتے ہیں
Okay,
پریزنٹیشن کے لیے.
I will. Okay,
ضروری
thank you,
نہیں ہے کہ وہی جو آپ اپنے تھیسس میں لکھا ہو وہی
جی،
آپ
جی.
نے یہاں پہ لکھا ہو. اس کے
جی.
لیے آپ سیپریٹ ٹیبل بھی بنا سکتے ہیں.
Ji. Okay. Thank you, sir.
ٹھیک ہے.
Okay. Thank you.
ایک چیز شاید آپ لوگوں کو پتہ ہو، وی ہیو 4 سیشن فار دا آپٹومیٹری دس ٹائم، اور ہر سیشن میں تقریباً شاید 10 پارٹیسپینٹس ہیں. تو آؤٹ آف دیز 40 پیپل وی ہیو ٹو سلیکٹ دا ٹاپ 3. تو وی آر آلسو مارکنگ دا پیپل ہیئر، اینڈ پرپز یہ ہے کہ یہ چیز یہ اٹریکشن ہم کسی اور سیشن میں نہیں رکھتے. پرپز یہ ہوتا ہے کہ جیسے بھی آپ نے دیکھا بھی ہوگا، جیسے ابھی ڈاکٹر نواز صاحب بتا بھی رہے تھے کہ پرپز یہ ہے کہ آپ اپنی ریسرچ کو، اپنے ٹاپک کو، اپنی پریزنٹیشن اسکل کو گروم کر سکیں. دیٹ از دا ریزن کہ وی ہیو پٹ دیٹ چارم کہ جی آپ کو ہم فرسٹ سیکنڈ تھرڈ کو اپریشیٹ کریں گے ان دا لاسٹ ڈے. تو تاکہ آپ لوگ اور انٹرسٹ سے اور اچھی تیاری کے ساتھ اور اچھے پریزنٹیشنوں کے ساتھ اور اپنے اچھی اس کی ٹاپک کو یہاں پہ پریزنٹ کر سکیں، زیادہ لوگ شریک ہو سکیں. اور یہ بہت کم، یہ جب نیا نیا اسٹارٹ ہوا تھا 5-7 سال پہلے تو بڑا آڈ لگا تھا کہ وائی اونلی آپٹومیٹری اسٹوڈنٹس آر بینگ اوارڈیڈ فار دا فرسٹ سیکنڈ تھرڈ. یہ کسی اور سیشن میں نہیں ہوتا. تو دیٹ از ویری گڈ کہ اور تھوڑی سی جیسے کہ شروع میں حال بالکل یعنی بقول عمران صاحب کے بھرا ہوا تھا. تو آپ لوگوں کو اپنے جونیئرس کو اپنے اسکول کے جو آپ کا آپٹومیٹری اسکول ہے وہاں کے لوگوں کو موٹیویٹ کرنا چاہیے ان ایکٹیویٹیز کے لیے. اینڈ اسٹل آئی اپریشیٹ کہ مینی آف دا سینئر آپٹومیٹرسٹ آر ہیئر. دیٹ از ریئلی انکریجنگ for OSP, and you people now, you are the people to lead the juniors کے تاکہ وہ I know that many of the people here جو کہ بہت اچھے ہیں پریزنٹیشن میں، اپنی نالج میں، ایجوکیشن میں، تو so they can motivate junior for these activities. تو ڈاکٹر راشد، ہمارے پاس ٹائم ہے تو اگر آپ میں ڈاکٹر راشد سے آج پہلی دفعہ ملا ہوں لیکن دیکھا ہوا ہے ان کو، اور عرفان کرامت صاحب میرے دوست ہیں پرانے بچپن کے. ہی سیڈ کہ آپ مجھے بھول جائیں گے.
عرفان کرامت از مائی کلاس فیلو فرام کنگ ایڈورڈ. وی اسٹڈی ٹوگیدر ان کنگ ایڈورڈ. اچھا، تو آپ سے میں ہمیشہ جو ہے نا آپٹومیٹری سے جب بات کرتا ہوں نا تو میں ان کو ان کا رول ریمائنڈ کرواتا ہوں کہ وٹ دے ہیو بین ڈوئنگ ان دا ہول ورلڈ. آپ کو جو ہے نا اپنے آپ کو براڈر اسپیکٹرم میں دیکھنا ہے. براڈر اسپیکٹرم یہ ہے کہ پہلی بات تو یہ کہ آپتھلمولوجی کا آدھے سے زیادہ کام آپ کے پاس ہے. ڈو یو نو دیٹ اکارڈنگ ٹو WHO 53% آف دا پیشنٹس ود امپیئرڈ ویژن دے جسٹ نیڈ گلاسز. ڈو یو ایگری ود می اور ناٹ؟ ایسے ہی ہے. اور ریفریکشن جو ہے آبویسلی آپ لوگ ہم لوگوں سے بہتر کر لیتے ہیں، آپتھلمولوجسٹ سے، سرجن سے. ہم لوگ تو چھری والے ڈاکٹر ہیں نا، ٹھیک ہے نا. اینڈ ریفریکشن even after surgery is as important as it is before the surgery. So ہمارے استاد ہمیں یہ سمجھاتے تھے کہ اگر آپ یہ چاہتے ہو نا کہ آپ کے پاس سرجری کے پیشنٹس آئیں زیادہ تو اچھی ریفریکشن کرنا شروع کر دو. تو دس از ون لیسن وی یوز ٹو گیٹ فرام آور ٹیچرس. تو یہ اٹ از جسٹ ٹو پٹ ان ٹو پرسپیکٹو دیٹ ہاؤ اے گڈ ریفریکشن از امپورٹنٹ. کتنا اہم ہے کہ آپ پیشنٹ کو ایک اچھا پراپر نمبر جو ہے نا وہ پرسکرائب کرنے کے قابل ہو، جس کے اندر بائنوکولر بیلنسنگ بھی ہو، جس طرح سے ابھی وہ شروع میں وہ آئی پی ڈی اور این پی سی کا ذکر کیا گیا. ہاں، اس سے ایک اور بات یہ کہ ڈیورنگ پریزنٹیشنس جسٹ اے پوائنٹ کہ ٹرائی ٹو ریڈ آؤٹ دا ہول ورڈ رادر دین ایبریویشنس. جیسے کہ بیسٹ کریکٹڈ ویژول ایکوٹی، ایمن کی پریزنٹیشن بہت اچھی تھی، بٹ اس میں بھی بزی سلائڈس تھیں. پکچرز جو ہے نا آپ کی سلائڈ میں زیادہ سے زیادہ ہونی چاہیے. تو یہ سب چیزیں جس طرح سر ڈاکٹر عارف صاحب کہہ رہے تھے کہ آپ لوگوں کو اپ لفٹ کرنے کے لیے ہیں اور آپ لوگوں کو بہتر کرنے کے لیے ہیں. تو وی آر ہیئر ٹو ہیلپ یو. اور آپ لوگ یو کین آلویز ریچ آؤٹ ٹو اس کہ کس طرح سے اپنی پریزنٹیشن اسکلس کو بہتر کرنا ہے. اور یہ بات یاد رکھیں کہ آپ لوگوں کا کام جو ہے نا وہ ختم ہونے والا یا کم ہونے والا نہیں ہے. اٹ از جسٹ انکریزنگ. اٹ از جسٹ دا میٹر آف ریکگنائزنگ یور اون ٹیلنٹ اینڈ دا اپرچونیٹیز یو ہیو within the limits that have been set for the optometry all over the world. I'm talking about the whole world. اب میرے ساتھ میرے یہ optometrists بیٹھے ہیں میرے کلینک میں. He does low vision aids, he does scleral contact lens fitting, he does OCT reporting, he does B-scan reporting, he does biometries. He advises me on what IOL I should choose. I ask him, اس کی ایک آنکھ ہو گئی ہے پیشنٹ کی، بتاؤ دوسری آنکھ میں کون سا IOL ڈلنا چاہیے. اس کی ایکزیل لینتھ، اس کی کے ریڈنگس، اس کی کارنیل سرفیس کی اسیسمنٹ، یہ سارا کچھ یہ کر لیتا ہے. آئی ہیو ٹاٹ ہم. لیکن یہ بات نہیں ہے کہ آپ لوگوں کے لیے یہ چیزیں مشکل ہیں. آپ لوگ جو اسیسمنٹ آف دا پیشنٹ ہے نا وہ ٹو اینی لمٹ یو کین لرن اٹ ٹو دا ایکسٹینٹ آف این آفتھلمولوجسٹ. بس سرجری رہ جاتی ہے، باقی ساری ڈائگنوسٹک چیزیں جو ہیں وہ اصل چیز تو ہے ہی ڈائگنوسس. وین ایور آئی ٹاک ٹو مائی جونیئرس تو آئی آلویز سے کہ اصل چیز ڈائگنوسس ہے. یو ہیو ٹو ریچ اے ڈائگنوسس اینڈ این آپٹومیٹرسٹ کین آلویز ریچ اے ڈائگنوسس if he or she is able to examine the patient in a perfect scheme. وہ اسکیم جو ہے نا اس کو فالو کرتے ہوئے آپ کسی بھی آئی کو ایگزامن کرو گے یو ول ریچ اے ڈائگنوسس. یہ میری بات یاد رکھنا. اس اسکیم کے بارے میں مزید انفارمیشن چاہیے ہو، گائیڈنس چاہیے ہو، وی آر ہیئر ٹو گائیڈ یو. میرا خیال ہے کہ بات میری لمبی ہوتی جائے گی، آپ نے مجھے روکنا ہے، ٹھیک ہے نا؟ میں تو بولتا جاؤں گا.
نہیں ڈاکٹر صاحب، ہم ذرا پہلے پریزنٹیشن لے لیں.
پریزنٹیشن لیں.
ہاں، وی ہیو 2 more students here.
اوکے جی، وی ہیو نیکسٹ اسپیکر زبیر نظر.
یس سر.
جی، آپ کہاں ہوتے ہیں؟ رحیم یار خان سے.
اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم، بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. Optometry at Khaja Fareed University of Engineering and Information Technology, Rahim Yar Khan. Today the topic of my presentation is assessment of refractive error in screen users in Plaza of Lahore. The problem of this is refractive errors are the main cause of globally increasing the visual impairment and prolonged use of screen about 7 to 8 hours put significant chronic stress on the eyes and the visual system, potentially causing or accelerating the refractive errors. To quantify and frequency in highly refractive errors and the working population is very necessary. The objective of this study to establish the frequency and indicate the major refractive errors, myopia, hypermetropia, and astigmatism among the employees with significant screen time, to evaluate the visual status including emmetropia of the high risk of occupational group. Study design, this was an observational cross-sectional study which held at Rifat National University, Lahore. Sample size was 185 participant, 102 male and 83 females. Age range was 18 to 35. Key including criteria was employees especially using screen. It was assessed by arterifractometer, retinoscopy, and visual acuity was measured by logMAR chart, trial box and pen chart was also used. These are the status of the frequency of the refractive errors, and myopia is the major in this study. About 40%, 39.5% of the population was myopic and astigmatic. These are the result. Nearly 80% of the population, including from the total population, was myopic or having any type of astigmatism. And only 11.4% population was without any refractive error, means that they was emmetropic. The conclusion of this study is a substantial portion of the employees' population engaged in highly screen time in Lahore suffering from refractive errors, primary myopia and astigmatism, but they don't know. The finding endorse the negative real health consequences associated with modern screen with professional environment. The employees should proper visit their optometrist or ophthalmologist for evaluation, and should use VN 2020 rule to overcome these consequences. Thank you.
थैंक यू ज़ुबैर। अगर आप अपने स्टडी डिज़ाइन वगैरह की तरफ जाएं
जी सर।
तो ज़रा वो दिखाएं मुझे। हाँ, ये है
सर क्रॉस सेक्शनल स्टडी थी ये,
और ऑब्जेक्टिव में आपने लिखा हुआ है कि आपने इंसिडेंस देखना है।
यस।
इंसिडेंस देखना है कि प्रेवलेंस देखनी है?
सर इसमें हमने असेसमेंट कर रहे थे ना, तो हमने बेसिकली दोनों चीज़ें ही इसमें देखी हैं।
इंसिडेंस आप कैसे देख सकते हैं ऑब्जर्वेशनल या क्रॉस सेक्शनल स्टडी में?
इसमें हम ये देख रहे थे कि क्योंकि ये टोटल एक असेसमेंट स्टडी थी, इसके अंदर हमने देखा है कि
इंसिडेंस स्टडीज़ जो होती हैं ना, ये हमेशा लॉन्गिट्यूडनल स्टडीज़ होती हैं। एक लॉन्ग टर्म स्टडी होती है, उसमें आप फॉलो अप्स करते हैं।
यस।
इंसिडेंस का मतलब क्या है?
यस।
यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट न्यू केसेस। तो न्यू केसेस होते रहना, उसको आपने मेजर करना है।
यस।
ऑब्जर्वेशनल क्रॉस सेक्शनल स्टडी में आप ये काम नहीं कर सकते।
यस बिल्कुल सर।
सो ये लफ्ज़ इंसिडेंस बड़े ध्यान से यूज़ किया करें।
राइट सर।
ठीक है,
राइट सर।
इट शुड बी आइदर प्रेवलेंस और प्रोपोर्शन।
यस।
हम क्रॉस सेक्शनल में सिर्फ ये दो चीज़ें देख सकते हैं।
राइट सर।
ठीक,
एनीथिंग एल्स?
थैंक यू, थैंक यू,
थैंक यू सर।
कोई और कोई?
खिजरा।
हम खिजरा मनसब, स्टूडेंट ऑफ ऑप्टोमेट्री। डेली रूटीन में पेशेंट्स को चेक कर रहे होते हैं, तो हमारे जो लैंग्वेज का आता है कि कुछ पेशेंट्स जो होते हैं वो इस तरह के एरिया से आते हैं कि जो डॉक्टर को समझ नहीं आ रहा होता, या डॉक्टर की लैंग्वेज जो है वो पेशेंट को समझ नहीं आ रही होती। दैट्स वाई, तो उसकी वजह से जो लैंग्वेज का बैरियर आता है, उसकी वजह से जो मिस गाइड पेशेंट भी होता है, और पेशेंट को भी डिफ़िकल्टी होती है और डॉक्टर के लिए भी। तो इसके लिए है कि उसमें आपका एक इंटरप्रेटर का होना लाजमी है। इसका ऑब्जेक्टिव है कि आपने लैंग्वेज बैरियर, आपने ऑप्थेल्मिक प्रैक्टिसेस में लैंग्वेज बैरियर को एवेलुएट करना है, और उसके अंदर जो इंटरप्रेटर है उसका जो यूज़ है उसके लिए आपने उसकी इंपॉर्टेंस को बताना है, और हमने स्ट्रेटजीज़ बतानी है कि जिसकी वजह से हम ओवरकम कर सकते हैं इसको, कि हम इंटरप्रेटर को किस तरह से लाएं अपने रोज़ की प्रैक्टिस में, कि उसका जो यूज़ है वो कॉमन हो जाए, जिसकी वजह से जो हमें आसानी हो सके डॉक्टर के लिए भी और पेशेंट के लिए भी। His operation definition, optometry, language barrier and interpreter. मेरा स्टडी डिज़ाइन था डिस्क्रिप्टिव क्रॉस सेक्शनल स्टडी एंड
खिजरा,
जी सर,
प्लीज ट्राई टू स्पीक इन इंग्लिश।
okay sir. My study design was a descriptive cross sectional study, and my sample size was 135. So 80 I was in 2020 session, 2017 से 2020, and my sample size was 139. Those were 80 were female and 39 was male. In sample size formula, Inclusion criteria, inclusion criteria was the ophthalmologist, optometrist, diagnostic ophthalmologist, and ophthalmic nursing and बहुत genre वगैरह. Exclusion criteria, undergraduate optometry students, those who are not actively engaged in the practices. Data collection method was questionnaire based. 17 question was formed. Uh, Here's my question. Like, what is your native language, and do you encounter your patient in with language barrier in daily practices? My result was that with the help of interpreter, uh, it was that 98 with the help of doctor take the history with the help of patient family member was 66.9%, and with the help of any previous record of patient 19%. So result was satisfactory. Patient compliance rate with the help of interpreter, and that the 37.4 was good. It was good patient compliance rate was good with the help of interpreter. Data analysis was collected and by making graph, and it was by online Google Map, because that was the year of corona. We cannot collect data clinical. Discussion. Language barrier is a between patient and examiner lead to the false identification of the disease and wrong wrong treatment. So that was the main issue, and the professional agreed that there must be interpreter in ophthalmic practices to overcome the barriers, so that we can diagnose the diseases and manage it well. As recommendation, and thank you.
Thank you very much. वैसे करंट सिनेरियो में शायद ये अब गूगल बेस्ड और इस तरह के जो आपने रिसर्च डेटा गैदरिंग की है, ये दिस माइट नॉट बी रेलेवेंट. You need to collect the data again, considering the current scenario.
Presenting the research title Patterns of Posterior Capsular Opacification After Phacoemulsification Using Foldable Acrylic IOL. The after cataract PCO is the most commonly after long-term complication after cataract surgery. It is caused by the migration of the LEC cells and lead to fibrosis and opacification after the cataract surgery in majority of the patients. It is treatable cause, and main treatment is Nd:YAG laser. Acrylic IOL, especially hydrophobic varieties, are known to reduce PCO compared to PMA or silicone. The purpose of the study to determine the different pattern of PCO after the phacoemulsification using foldable acrylic IOL lenses. In methodology, this was the cross-section study conducted at the LRBT hospital in 2022. Total participant was 172 from age range 40 to 70 years who received foldable IOL phacoemulsification. At least 12-month period included, and patient excluded were the history of the complications, PCR, trauma, corneal pathology, and surgical complications. Assessment. PCO pattern were graded using the Salzman and Lindstrom grading patterns on slit lamp examination. Analysis data was analyzed using SPSS V25 and chi-square was used, and P value less than 0.05 considered statistical significant. A total 172 patients were included, and the mean age of the patient was 54.32 years. Most for the female patient, 56.4%, and 43.6% were males. On the PCO pattern distribution, the most common were the grade 2 with 42.4%. In the last way, to identify potential risk factor, we analyzed the PCO pattern in relation to the IOL duration, age, and gender. But the results show no statistical significant association with any of these variables. Discussion. Our study aligned with the international studies show PCO incidence of 20 to 50% within 2 to 5 years after cataract surgery. Acrylic IOL consistently produce lower PCO grades than PMM or silicone oil. Hydrophobic acrylic IOL typically have the lower PCO rate, and reducing PCO incidence lower financial burden or healthcare system. To conclude that study post phacoemulsification or cataract surgery, PCO incidence can be reduced but not totally avoided. An intraocular lens is considered critical determinant in development of PCO. Selection of IOL material is a long way in minimizing the incidence of PCO. So this is the study. Thank you so much. Any questions?
डॉक्टर राशिद, कोई क्वेश्चन है आपके ذہن में?
अच्छा, ये क्वेश्चंस नहीं है, बल्कि आप समझ लें कि जस्ट फॉर द लर्निंग ऑफ एवरीवन. पहली बात तो ये कि सिलिकॉन आईओल्स आर नो मोर यूज्ड.
ओके सर.
तो इसको तो आप बीच में से निकाल ही दें.
ओके सर.
ठीक है. मोस्टली द आईओल्स नाउ यूज्ड आर मेड अप ऑफ एक्रेलिक मटेरियल.
यस.
ठीक हो गया.
यस सर.
एक बात ये हो गई. और आपने जो स्टडी की थी इसमें अगर आप एक चीज़ और इंक्लूड करती कि सेग्रीगेट कर लेती हाइड्रोफिलिक और हाइड्रोफोबिक आईओल्स को, दैट कुड हैव बीन अ मच स्ट्रॉन्गर स्टडी.
Yes.
Because you have commented already in the last के the least PCO rate is with hydrophobic acrylic
Yes.
IOLs. This is only one factor, let me tell you, because there are many factors also. You will see that with the type of cataract, like posterior subcapsular cataracts, there are inadvertently some of the cells, cortical cells, they remain. We are unable to shave it off during the surgery. So we get more PCO in these patients. This is regarding the type of cataract. Number two, the surgeon experience. How experienced is the surgeon? How beautifully the surgery has been performed. This is another factor.
Yes, sir.
If the IOL is 360-degree covered by the capsular excess, the chances of PCO are reduced. Right?
Yes, sir.
So these are some of the factors. And just to, because this is a topic of my interest, so सबसे एक सवाल पूछता हूँ कि what are the most common early complications in post cataract surgery patients जो आप encounter करते हैं अपने क्लिनिक के अंदर? Let's say कि आपके ऑफ्थल्मोलॉजिस्ट ने कैटरेक्ट सर्जरी की है, उसको आपकी तरफ रेफर कर दिया. This is what happens, by the way, in all the world, कि the ophthalmologist does the surgery and the follow-ups are done by the optometrist. तो क्या commonest complaints हैं या complications हैं which bother the patient post operatively after the cataract surgery? Anyone? Okay. ये सबसे common है, ये आपके ख्याल से commonest है जो patient को bother करता है?
Watering.
Shabash. Dry eyes. I'm talking about an uneventful cataract surgery. A cataract surgery, ये corneal edema तभी होता है जब इवेंटफुल कैटरेक्ट सर्जरी हुई है, जब बहुत ही हार्ड कैटरेक्ट है. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट अनइवेंटफुल कैटरेक्ट सर्जरी. वो कंप्लेंट्स जो पेशेंट को बॉदर करती हैं उनमें से एक बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ क्या है? ड्राई आई. और बताएं, आपसे रिलेटेड है सारी चीज़ें, मैं आप बहुत क्लिनिकल चीज़ें नहीं पूछूंगा. और बताएं.
सर स्टिल पेशेंट कहता है ब्लडिंग हो रही है. ब्लडिंग
क्यों हो रही है बेटा? शाबाश. क्यों हो रही है बताओ, क्यों हो रही है ब्लरिंग? बेटा वो आपने बता दिया ड्राई आई. और स्टिग्मा, आप यू आर वेरी क्लोज. यू कैन स्टेट दिस इन अ बेटर वे, अ रेजिडुअल रिफ्रैक्टिव error.
Yes.
So once again, this is your patient now. How to deal with this patient who has a residual refractive error? It can be anything. A hypermetropia, a myopia, astigmatism, anything, right? So these are the two most important dissatisfaction factors after cataract surgery, which are uneventful surgeries. The dry eye. अच्छा ये बताओ कि ड्राई आई क्यों हो जाती है कैटरेक्ट सर्जरी के बाद? सर मुझे रोक देना, मैं वरना चलता जाऊंगा. मुझे आपने रोक देना है और बता दें कितने बच्चे हैं, क्योंकि मैं तो सिखाने के मूड में आया हूँ. ठीक है जी. और टाइम कितना है? 50. अच्छा चलो जी, बताओ ड्राई आई क्यों हो जाती है कैटरेक्ट सर्जरी के बाद? स्टेम सेल्स बेटा 360 डिग्री होते हैं, वो तो 2.75 मिलीमीटर की हम फेको एमल्सिफिकेशन में इंसिजन देते हैं, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 2.75 मिलीमीटर्स में डैमेज हो जाएंगे. हमने तो बाकी 36 जो 270 280 डिग्री उसको तो छेड़ा ही नहीं. तो दिस इज़ नॉट द कॉज. और क्या रीजंस हैं बताएं, कोई चीज़ ज़हन में आती है? मैंने बताया कि ये लर्निंग सेशन है, इसमें कोई इम्तिहान नहीं हो रहा, ठीक है ना. देखो, जब हम फेको एमल्सिफिकेशन करते हैं या कैटरेक्ट सर्जरी करते हैं, उसमें मल्टीपल जगहों पे कॉर्निया में इंसिजन्स देते हैं. द कॉर्नियल नर्व्स आर डिस्टर्ब्ड. Once the corneal nerves are disturbed, the corneal sensitivity changes. Once the corneal sensitivity changes, like in LASIK, like in PRK, the response to production of tears changes. The quality and the quantity of tears changes. So this is one of the reasons. And the other reason is that when you use a very frequent post-operative eye drops which contain preservatives, they are unfriendly to the ocular surface, right? They are unfriendly to the ocular surface. That's why the world is shifting towards preservative-free eye drops. Heard about preservative-free eye drops or not?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है ना? You have got a lot of them now in Pakistan in terms of preservative-free artificial tears, right? So remember, after an uneventful cataract surgery, dry eye and residual refractive error. These are the two most important dissatisfaction factors in terms of quality or quantity of vision जो आपके साथ पास पेशेंट प्रेजेंट करेगा. और इन दोनों चीज़ों को आप सब लोग डील कर सकते हैं.
Yes.
अच्छा, एक और चीज़ कि whenever you are choosing a topic, इस बात की कंसिडर ज़रूर किया करें कि ऑफ्थल्मोलॉजी और ऑप्टोमेट्री में कोई लाइन है कि नहीं.
सर एक्सप्लेन कर दूँ.
जी.
सर एक्चुअली में ना पीसीओ के जो पैटर्न्स हैं ना, मतलब कि पीसीओ हम लोग पोस्ट ऑप जो करते हैं वो ऑप्टोमेट्री की डोमेन में भी आता है.
बिल्कुल आता है.
ठीक
अगर
है,
वो visual
तो वो
acuity
उसके
और
साथ ही
इससे related
ऑप्थोमोलॉजिस्ट के साथ ही रिसर्च की हुई है.
हाँ.
मेन जो इसकी हैं वो डॉक्टर अनम यूनस है, एफएमएच मेडिकल कॉलेज
तो
की
अगर
असिस्टेंट
इसका
प्रोफेसर.
आउटकम विजुअल एक्विटी होता ना, तो फिर मैं
सर-
कहता कि ये आपके डोमेन में आ रही है.
सर लेकिन उसके साथ भी रिलेट करती है कि हम लोग पीसी वो भी पोस्ट ऑप कॉम्प्लिकेशन में आ रही है,
देखो
उसकी
ना,
वजह से
आप-
डिक्लाइन इन विजन हो रहा है.
आपको तो हम दोनों ही डील कर रहे हैं ना.
तो अब हम लोगों ने
Ophthalmologist
देखना
भी
है
डील
कि
कर रहे हैं, आप भी कर रहे हैं, लेकिन यू हैव टू डिफाइन योर पाथ. ठीक है,
Yes.
चलें. थैंक यू वेरी
थैंक
मच.
यू सो मच.
आई थिंक वी शुड मूव ऑन.
Comparing the effect of chia seed and omega-3 fatty acid on dry eye. I'm working as a lecturer at the University of Lahore right now, and I have done my master's from Tehran. Before moving forward, it's a little bit introduction. Dry eye is a common condition. It can be caused either due to reduced tear production or increased tear evaporation. So prevalence is 8.1% is prevalence in the US with a 5-year incidence rate of 3.5%, and in adults age mainly 18 to 64 years, and 7.8% in those over 68. So it's up to 50% in older individuals over than 50. So for omega-3 and chia seed, omega-3 fatty acids which come in the form of fish oil drops, these are animal sourced. The plant source which are from the where chia seeds are enriched in omega-3 fatty acids. So omega-3 fatty acids, previously fish oil have been used to treat the dry eye in many studies. There have been clinical trials, but my study was to actually compare the animal source and then plant source of omega-3 fatty acids on dry eye. So from little bit from the background, a study by Abdul Aziz, they actually done extracted first chia seed oil, and they did experiment on the rat models where they took 40 rats and divided into different groups, and ultimately they have seen that chia seed oil, which they directly imposed on the dry eye, induced by their atropine, really actually improved the dry eye symptoms in rat models. So that was chia seed oil. Now, from one study from the Wang, it was a meta-analysis of 19 RCTs, and they have concluded that omega-3 supplements improves dry eye disease and clinical signs, and these are animal-sourced omega-3 fatty acids. So my study objective was to evaluate and compare the effect of plant source and animal sourced omega-3 fatty acids, which comes from the fish oil and chia seed. It was a quasi-experimental study, and we took two groups, and the total number of the participants were 38 and divided into 19 group each at the University of Lahore Teaching Hospital. So group 1 was given with the omega-3 fatty acids 100 milligram per day in the soft gel oil capsules, and group B were given with the chia seeds and those were grounded chia seeds. So it was a 1 month experimental study, and it was conducted under the supervision of the ophthalmologist at the ULTH, University of Lahore Teaching Hospital. So outcome we measured were to evaluate the tear breakup time and ocular surface disease index. So that's a gender and age distribution. In the study, female participants were higher, which were 26 in frequency, and age was about 18 to 28, which were recruited for the study. So that's the main part of result, where omega-3 fatty acids and chia seed, which were 19 in pre-test right eye, as it was not, and as the data was not normally distributed, so we took median and interquartile ranges for this for our descriptive. So in the right eye, in omega-3 fatty acid group, the T-BERT was 3.35, and after the
you have 1 minute.
okay, sir. So and after the intervention, it meant 5.04. So within group comparison yielded that omega-3 fatty acid between right and left eye, the results were clinically significant, and in chia seed group as well, between the right eye pre and post and left eye pre and post, the results were statistically significant. But between the group comparison between omega-3 and chia seed, we found clinically significant results in right eye, in left eye, sorry, not in right eye. So discussion is omega-3 fatty acids proved to be improving the dry eye, but chia seed also improved, but it was not as much effective than omega-3 oil capsules, which were being given to the participants. This may be due to the limited way to give the chia seed in the ground form. So conclusion is, both animal and plant-derived omega-3 fatty acid source have compromising effect. Animals, chia seed can be a good source of omega-3 fatty acids if someone is not comfortable with the omega-3 fatty acid in
Thank you very much.
animals.
Assalamu alaikum all. I am Malaika Majid, optometrist at Mughal Eye Clinic, Lahore. Today I will be presenting my topic on examining the impact of blue light filters on spectacles users versus screen users. And this study is all about exploring the effect of these filters, that how can they influence the eye comfort, eye strain, and overall visual performances. So let's start with a little background about what blue light is. So it is basically a high energy visible light which emits from LED screen and even from the sunlight. And long-term exposure to this light can cause a long-term effect like headaches, eye strain, visual discomfort, especially in the young adults because they use the screen most. The objective of this study was to compare the effectiveness of blue light filters in spectacles users versus the filter applied to their digital devices to see which better improve headache, eye strain, visual comfort, and while providing the overall productivity according to users' preference. So it was a cross-sectional study held at a computer house where we collected 68 individuals between the age group of 18 to 30 years, and they all had a low degree of myopia. All other refractive error were excluded, and they must use a screen time more than 6 hours. We divided these participants into 2 equal groups of 34. One group were asked to use the filters built in spectacles, while the other one were requested to use their screen protectors on while they were working on their digital devices. As we discussed the inclusion criteria already, so here are our exclusion criteria. All the patients with the ocular pathologies, systemic diseases that affect the vision, and having any previous ocular surgeries, or the one that uses both filter at a time were excluded from this study. We collected data. It was a self-designed questionnaire to collect data about headache, eye strain, productivity, and visual comfort. And the data was analyzed by using SPSS 21, applying CAT-square test to determine differences between both groups. So here's the result we took from our participants after the 2 months. This chart shows the number of the participants who experienced the headache relief. So we can clearly see the 26 out of 34 patients that was using spectacles reported improvement out of 19 out of 34. So this indicates that glasses provide effective protection against headache symptoms. In the case of eye strain, we observe even larger difference. 29 spectacle users reported reduced eye strain compared to the 17 screen filter users. So this shows spectacles give stronger relief. Next, we assessed productivity and overall comfort. And here we found that the spectacles users performed slightly better in productivity, while interestingly, the visual comfort was almost equal in both groups, which shows that screen filters can also be helpful, but spectacles clearly have an edge. An important finding was none of the participants reported any negative side effect with either type of the filter. So we can say that both methods are safe for general use. Our results are consistent with the older studies that shows blue light filtering lenses reduce short wavelength exposure and may help alleviate visual fatigue, because the spectacles sits closer to the eye. They offer more stable and consistent filtration than the screen-based filter. Although some studies shows some clinical limitations, but the patient's preference clearly favored the spectacle that blocking with the blue blocking lens. In our study, participants who also showed a strong preference for spectacles due to convenience and greater symptom relief. To conclude, blue light filters built in spectacles are found to be more effective than the filters applied to their skin to have better results about the headache, eye strain, and to improve comfort and productivity. So these are highly recommended for the people who use digital devices in their daily life.
बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
There were a lot of questions in the minds of our.
Thank you.
Myopia is becoming an epidemic. By 2050, the half of the world will be nearsighted. Assalamu alaikum, respected judges and colleagues. I am Juwairiya Mustafa from University of Lahore. Today, I will presenting my research on whether soft contact lenses influence the progression of myopia. Background: myopia is rising globally, especially among young people. Progressive myopia is more serious because the eyeball continues to elongate, increasing the risk factor, retinal detachment, and glaucoma. Soft contact lenses are commonly used. Objective: the objective of this study was simple and focused: to determine whether the soft contact lenses has any impact on the progression of myopia. Methodology: it was a longitudinal observational study. We examined 70%. The age range between 11 to 25 years. We held 2 assessments. First assessment, the person with spectacles. We measured visual acuity, cycloplegic refraction, and also axial length by using A-scan ultrasound. After 1 year follow-up, we examine all these variables in a second assessment. These are same individual. We use ANVA and t-test statistically. Demographic findings: our findings shows no statistically association between refractive changes and demographic variables. Axial length remained the strongest indicator. Results. Visual acuity compare with spectacle versus soft contact lens users. The major finding is that even the refractive error is stable, the axial length may be progressive silently. This highlights the importance of routine monitoring. Axial length in patients using spectacle and soft length. The spectacle users' axial length increased 2 millimeter in spectacle users in the comparison of soft contact lenses. Conclusion. In conclusion, the axial length proved to be a key factor in predicting refractive traits. Demographic factors had minimal impact.
आपके पास टाइम ख़त्म हो गया.
जी सर बस recommendation. We recommended annual screening. Parents stay aware of visual symptoms, and future study include larger population. We have limitation. Sample size was small, age range was wide, and lifestyle factors such as screen time are not controlled.
Thank you very much. क्योंकि मुझे मैसेज आया है कि अगला सेशन शुरू होने वाला है, तो लेट्स हैव अ क्विक फोटोग्राफ विद द प्रेजेंटर्स मेरे सामने प्लीज़ आ जाएं. मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा डॉक्टर राशिद को, डॉक्टर इमरान को कि वो भी सामने आ जाए.